Well, I'm not going to make it up.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. Melissa from What Are You Fighting For? Today is a huge, huge day for the water fight in Flint. We've been going through all the physical problems, copper and lead poisoning. We'll give you more details about that later on tonight. But right now, I want to get everything started by again thanking you for being here. I hope that you take note of the information that you're going to hear, because it's a strong punch as to what has actually been happening to the Flint citizens and what's been covered up. But first, it's an honor to work with the ACLU of Michigan and Virginia Tech, just amazing human beings to get us to the truth. So thank you guys for being here. Woo-hoo! And the catalyst for getting them here was Leanne Walters and the horror her family went through with the lead poisoning. So I'm going to just go ahead and hand it over to her.
Hi, my name is Leanne Walters. I'm also with What Are You Fighting For? I started working with Virginia Tech in the EPA after the city discovered that the lead in my home was way over the action level. Action level is 15. My highest lead with them was 397. With the testing that Mark did with Virginia Tech, my average was 2,500. My highest was 13,200. So we all worked together with that and the EPA. Miguel De La Toro did an interim report that timelined what was going on and how it played out, and the MDEQ used that to try and discredit his work. So we moved forward from there, and Virginia Tech and the ACLU helped put together for us to do the sampling for the citizens. And from that, we've got the results today that Mark's going to discuss with you guys. And now I'm going to introduce Sid Roy from Virginia Tech.
Hi everyone. All right. Yeah. I'm a PhD student. I work with Mark Edwards at Virginia Tech. So there was an obvious dispute between what we were looking for finding at this Walters house, the memo from the reputed EPA corrosion expert Miguel Del Toro, and our conversations with residents on the one hand, and what the city was claiming in that they were meeting all state and federal standards. So this was something we thought could be resolved scientifically. So that's how Flint Water Study was born. One of the biggest things that we are proud of in terms of working with Flint residents and citizen leaders is that we've sampled more than 277 homes, all thanks to these wonderful ladies on the side and everybody who's here. Collected over 850 samples. That's 10 times more than the city's 69 samples that they collected for their lead and copper compliance. So we did that to quantify the lead problem. But we also did, we came in here last month, we did our own testing, did some sampling, and did experiments to see if the Flint water is actually corrosive, and also look at solutions that the city might put forward and how it would play out scientifically. So all these experiments that we've conducted, Mark will discuss them, but I'll just briefly say 3 points. The reason all of our results are online and real time on Flint Water Study report, our Facebook and Twitter pages, is because we want accurate scientific information being relayed out to citizens, in that there's an actual lead problem and they should get to hear of it from scientists. Second, we recently found out that the National Science Foundation gave us a rapid response research grant of $50,000 to look at Flint problem for a year. So we are around for a while. And finally, our students, 15 wonderful volunteers who have their own jobs, their own classes, who've been working on this for weeks. One of them wanted to do something, and he's doing crowdfunding. So essentially, we are raising money to get filters out to the residents. So if you're willing, if you want to put money, please go to gofundme.com/safewater4 as in the number Flint. I'll now ask Professor Edwards to discuss it.
Okay. So thanks. My job here is to discuss the science of what's happening and report the results of this team of students that we have working on this. And as Sid mentioned, there's 5 undergrads, 5 grad students, and 5 research scientists that have worked on this. So this problem has arisen because of what's known as a corrosion issue. So most cities, like Detroit, have for their water, where they put chemicals in the water to stop corrosion. You can't see it, but there's an iron there in this bottle here. And the water is relatively clear. There's a little bit of orange color to it because the water eats the iron up a little bit, and some of the iron goes into the water. This is normal. This is in the range of what people normally see across the coast. What when we do the exact same experiment with Flint water, welcome. This is what some of the water across the city looks like. I've sampled water personally from people's homes that looks like this. This is occurring because the water is too corrosive. It has too much salt in it, and there was no plan to control the corrosion. Flint is the only city in America that I'm aware of who does not have a corrosion control plan in place to stop this kind of problem. So this water looks bad, it smells bad, it tastes bad, and this is part of what if you don't have this problem in Flint, it's because you're lucky and there's not unlined iron pipes bringing the water to your house. The other issue that's of concern, and why we're here today, is this same issue is causing excessive lead to go into people's water. And the danger with that is you can't see lead like you can see iron. So on the basis of the sampling that Virginia Tech conducted in collaboration with the residents, we estimate that the water in about 5,000 Flint homes is over standards set by the World Health Organization for lead and water. This is too much. And so we feel that people should be told about that problem, and that's what we're doing here today. And we advise residents to take this problem seriously. So amongst the things that you can do to avoid this harmful exposure to yourself and to your children, first and foremost, if you're ever going to use Flint tap water, you should let the water run for at least 5 minutes before you collect it for overnight. Alternatively, if you can afford it, you can buy a lead filter that's certified, a pitcher filter and the faucet filter that can remove the lead from the water. These are very, very effective. Costs about $40 to get one that's NSF certified. That will get rid of this problem completely for you and your family. Although we still have the problem with discolored, unslightly tasty water, but at least the lead problem isn't there. And then the other alternative is to use bottled water. So until this problem is fixed, this is the advice that we're giving people in Flint. I wish I had better news for you, but that's what our survey shows.
Now there's going to be some more gut-punching information.
Hi, my name's Kurt Guyette. I'm an investigative reporter for the ACLU of Michigan. I want to start off by saying I hope everybody here appreciates what a remarkable effort and accomplishment was just pulled off here in Flint. In just over 3 weeks, a lot of these people standing up here today distributed 300 test kits, got 277 back. That's 4 times as many as it took the city 6 months to collect. It was a remarkable effort. And then the people at Virginia Tech have been working around the clock in order to analyze those samples and get the information out as soon as possible so the people of Flint would realize just how dangerous their water is. The reason I'm involved in this is I was hired to investigate issues involving emergency management. And the reason everybody is here today is because the emergency managers appointed by Governor Rick Snyder in an effort to save the city money made the decision to switch from clean Detroit River water to the Flint River. And that's what's causing these problems, as Professor Edwards and his team at Virginia Tech have discovered. The question is, given what they found, how were the city and state able to claim that Flint water is actually safe and complies with federal drinking water standards? With the assistance of everybody here, the ACLU of Michigan has been conducting an investigation to answer that question. What we found is that the city and state did a number of things that skewed the results.
Right.
And it's indisputable. It's based on information obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, with emails and testing results. Among the things that the city did, the pre-flushing method that they use, which Professor Edwards said should be banned, having residents flush their lines the night before they conduct their tests, according to Miguel Del Toro from the EPA, an expert on this issue, says is guaranteed to minimize the results and miss worst case scenarios, such as the worst case scenario at Ms. Walter's house. That's one of the things. Professor Edwards has called for that practice to be banned, and that's going to be more talked about later. But there were other things beyond that. The city was supposed to have tested. There's 2 rounds of tests that were conducted from July until December of 2014, and from January to June of 2015. 100 houses were tested in the first round. By law, the city was supposed to have retested those same 100 houses in the second round. It didn't do that. It ended up only testing 69. But more importantly, only 13 of those homes that were retested were done in the original part. That is completely in violation of the law. Moreover, those 13 homes that they did retest were homes that had among the lowest samples during the first round. None of the homes that tested high in the first round were retested in the second round. Again, the tests were skewed, and that's one of the ways that they were skewed. Another thing that happened was, at the end of the second testing period, a worker from the city water department went to a number of homes on Flushing Road, 7 homes on Flushing Road, to get samples from residents there. The significance of that is Flushing Road, according to documents provided by the city, had its water main replaced in 2007, thereby eliminating the corrosion problem that led to the lead problem that Professor Edwards discovered. So that was another thing. There's more that happened, but those are among the chief things that we found, and that is why the city is able to claim that it's in compliance, and the state is able to back up those results, because those test results were skewed. And part of the proof of that is how the discrepancy between what the city is claiming and what Professor Edwards and his team have found. As a result of what we found, we believe that there should be a full-fledged, independent, outside investigation into the way the city conducted its tests to get answers as to what was done and who did it. That's all I have to say.
All the things you expect from criminals.
Yes, my first name is Kurt, C-U-R-T. Second name, Guyette, G-U-Y-E-T-T-E, an investigative reporter for the ACLU of Michigan.
Professor Kirk gave you.
Social Action and the Coalition for Clean Water. And again today, we stand before you to make the demand that this mayor and this city administration stop the criminal behavior and take the city of Flint back to the best water, the freshest water, the cleanest water, and this time will be the Detroit water. We're asking this mayor and this city to go back to Detroit immediately. We cannot wait until next year until they continue to use us for their personal guinea pig to try to figure out how to solve this problem. Flint deserves the best clean water. I thought we lived in the Great Lakes state. If this is so great, we ought to go back to Detroit water, and we ought to do it now. Why should we go back to Detroit? We should go back to Detroit because we know that Detroit water did not give us all these problems. We also have learned that Detroit water does not give off the leaches as well as the way the Flint River does. We also know that Detroit River water will stop corroding the pipes the way the Flint River is. We're asking for the Mayor Walling's administration to stop lying to this community.
That's right.
We went to his forum last night. He told us nothing new. He told us to flush the water for 1 minute, which is not correct. We're asking for this city to make the right decision for the people in Flint and take us back to Detroit water, and we cannot continue to wait. We need help from the federal government because we need help right now. Thank you. Saying it all along.
My name is Naira Sharif with the Coalition for Clean Water and the Flint Democracy Defense League. Provision 1.141.86D4 of the EPA lead and copper rule states, when a utility that is on reduced monitoring schedule makes changes to its water treatment or to its water source, the state oversight agency, in this case the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, can require additional monitoring to make sure that the treatment is maintained or require other appropriate steps. The MDEQ did nothing to ensure that treatment was properly planned, approved, or started and maintained for corrosive control when the switch took place. Because of this negligent act, there is a serious lead problem in the water in the city of Flint. we are in a public health crisis. When our government is killing us by putting lead, our government needs to step in and correct that. We demand that the MDEQ provide NSF, which that's the National Sanitation Foundation, lead certified filters for each home in the city of Flint at no cost to the residents until the water is treated successfully and proven safe by the EPA. Hello, my name is Dr. Laura Sullivan. I'm a faculty member at Kettering University, and I'm proud to be a part of this coalition. Our next demand is that the city replace all lead-containing service lines on the city side and on the resident side at no cost to the residents. We demand an outline by October 1st from Howard Croft, who's the Director of Public Works, that will show all residents the location of all service lines that contain lead. At this point, we have not been made aware of which service lines contain lead. We demand to know where those service lines are and that the residents of Flint know where they are. We also demand proof that the city contacts every resident with a lead service line to inform them of their increased risk of lead exposure. And finally, we demand a reasonable date upon which the first replacement of service lines will take place. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Provision 141.821 or INJ of the Copper and Lead Rule by the EPA states, if a state oversight agency abuses its authority, the EPA can step in and take control over the state and city entities. The EPA can also exercise their emergency option to take authority. Under the Safe Drinking Water Act, Provision 42 U.S.C. 300I, the EPA has broad power to intervene and override state and local authorities in order to protect the health of the people threatened by contaminants in their drinking water. Flint citizens are in danger. The water is not safe. So we demand that the EPA come in and step in as the MDEQ has abused its authority because it allowed Flint to stop corrosion control treatment and allowed these deceptive testing methods. Therefore, we demand that the EPA step in and take over Flint's treatment decisions and the MDEQ's testing and oversight.
For our last demand, we're calling for the EPA to audit on the DEQ sampling, both how it was done, past, present, and future. We demand that the MDEQ quit using loopholes while monitoring for lead and copper. There should be no pre-flushing, no smallmouth bottles, and no cap on stagnation. This evidence shows that Flint is not monitoring according to the lead and copper rules given by the EPA. The lead and copper rule regulations require you sample at locations that may be particularly susceptible to high lead or copper concentrations. The lead and copper rule established a tiering system to prioritize sample sites. A material evaluation is required to help classify these sites. You must perform this site in order to have it be in compliance. Basically, the bottom line is, stop trying to come up with ways to hide the lead. You should be looking for the high lead. That is your job as the DEQ. When you find it, you tell us. And if you're honest with us, and we can have a formal discussion about it, we can work together to try and solve these problems. Do your job the way the EPA intends for you to do it. Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll be open for questions, but again, do not forget that we have a town hall meeting where we will go through more presentations and more information tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. Saints of God Church, 2200 Forest Hill Avenue. So bring your questions and bring all the citizens, whether they've had their water tested or not, because they need to know the truth.
Why Virginia Tech? You got one of the major universities that are around
Virginia Tech is highly recommended and has worked with the EPA before, and they were part of the huge discovery in Washington, D.C. when they had a lead problem back in 2009, was it? So this team helped break that. And so they were the best people that were recommended by the EPA to help us get our answers. And they offered to do it on their own dime before they even got the grant. As well as the Michigan ACLU. That's another one too. We've had these large groups come in and offer to help us when our own city won't. None. It's going to be refiled and amended with the MDEQ as defendants. As soon as possible.
Inside that building about
Yesterday, last night.
And how's that resolved? It's not.
Dismissed. The water's safe. The water's fine. We meet the minimums. Flush your water. It'll be fine though. It's safe.
We weren't even allowed to, we had to write our questions down. We weren't even allowed to ask our
And
questions.
we never got called out. And we were never called out to speak.
They pick and choose.
Get arrested if you ask questions.
Yeah, and one lady was arrested because she was asking questions.
Yes, there was a lady
Almost
that was,
arrested.
Yes, no, she was escorted out. She was escorted out, and she's handicapped, so that's awesome. So that's what we run into.
Can I ask something real quick? Why didn't the local colleges join with BT and learn from them? You know what I'm saying? That's a good idea. Why weren't the local colleges stepping up and saying, this is a problem? Why don't we join with BT and learn?
They got us paying to let them kill us.
A number of universities, I don't know what the other universities said, but on behalf of Kettering, I can tell you that we have begun working with them.
That's cool. Bring it in and teach each other.
As soon as we found out about it, yes, as soon as we found out. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.